Salary negotiation when you're getting a new job is absolutely critical. Saying the wrong thing or the right thing could be the difference of $15,000, $20,000 a year. And if you take that difference over the course of several years, it can make a huge impact on your financial standing. In today's video, I'm going to give you 6 things you should never say in a job interview. That way you don't say them and you get a better offer. Let's go. The first thing I would never say, if you can avoid it, is the number first. In most negotiations, they're going to ask you, what are you looking for salary-wise? And if you say the number right there, you have lost leverage. They know your number before you know the range, so that could hurt your ability to negotiate. So there's a few different things you can do. I've always been a big fan of saying, right now, the salary isn't the most important thing for me in my career. I'm looking to take that next step, learn, blah, 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 whatever it is. What's the salary range for the role? That's one way to kind of turn the tables and get them to say it. Another thing you can say is, it's kind of hard for me to give a number there because at this point, I need to learn more about the role, the responsibilities, and understand the benefits that your company offers. What is the salary range for the role? That is another way to turn the tables. Now, at the end of the day, they might push back and go, well, it depends on the experience of the person. What are you looking for? In which case, you might have to play ball there a little bit. But if you start a negotiation without at least trying to get them to say the number first, well, I think you've made a bit of a misstep. The next thing you should never say when you are given an offer is, thanks, I'm very happy with this offer, right? The reality is, they're expecting you to counter. They're expecting some negotiation. They're expecting you to come back and ask for something else. Studies show this, and they actually build it into the budgets a little bit. I'm a huge fan of countering. Unless you give them a number in the beginning, and then they give you that exact number, you should probably counter. And the way you want to do that is you want to go, okay, thank you so much for the offer. I'd like to talk with my family, take a look at the benefits, and then you can actually go back and counter at a later date. But if you immediately upon receiving the offer go, thanks, I am very happy with this offer, you have immediately eroded the leverage you have as a candidate. Look, they have gone through a long process to get here. They had to go through approvals. They had to create a job description. They had to post it. They interviewed a whole bunch of people. They probably had a few people pull out of the process. You get to the very end. They've decided they want to hire you and not other people. You have a tremendous amount of leverage. But by saying, thank you, I am thrilled with this offer, you immediately erode some of that leverage. The next thing you should never say when you're talking about salary at any point in the process is, I'm sorry, would we be able to discuss salary? First and foremost, that is very weak language. Don't apologize. You are a candidate. They're going to expect you to do a job when you get hired. You should expect them to be able to share information about the job before you accept it, including things as critical as salary. So you don't want to come off as weak in that moment. And you deserve to know this information. You deserve to know the salary. So don't be apologetic. Don't be meek when you're talking about this. It's okay that you want to understand the salary for a role you might possibly take. The next thing you never want to say in a salary negotiation is, are you willing to budge on salary? Now, what is the problem with that? The problem with that question is it is a closed-ended question. They can say yes or they can say no. And if you say, are you willing to budge on salary? An easier no has never existed. That is a very easy no. So you want to make sure you say open-ended questions. You want to ask questions that are more likely to get you to where you want to be. A better way to say that is, I am targeting a salary of X. I'm excited about the possibility of joining your organization if we can get to that number. How can we get closer to that point? That right there is a much better way to say it. The next thing you never want to say in a salary negotiation is the lowest amount I am willing to accept is blank. One, that's a bit ultimatum-y, right? That's a bit aggressive to say it like that. The lowest amount I will accept is this. That might be off-putting for them, and that's going to have the opposite effect of what you're hoping to happen, which is them giving you an offer at a higher amount. The other problem with that is if you say the lowest I'm going to accept is blank, you can basically kiss goodbye the possibility of the offer coming in higher than that. It's not going to happen. If you get an offer, which you might not, but if you do, it's going to be at that number. It's not going to be higher. The next thing that you shouldn't say during a salary negotiation is, I'm willing to accept an offer between blank and blank. Here's the thing. As a recruiter, when a candidate says, I'm willing to accept a job offer between 50 and 100K, the candidate is thinking 100 and the recruiter is thinking 50. You never want to give a range because when you give a range, all the recruiter, all the HR person, and all the hiring manager are going to think is the lower number. They're not going to think the higher number. If you say 50 to 100K, they're not going to say, oh, well, we need to give this candidate 100K because clearly that's what they want. They're thinking 50. Now, have you seen LinkedIn recently where you see these job postings and these job postings have like 1,000 applicants? Does that seem intimidating to you? Yeah, well, of course, who wouldn't be intimidated by that? The reality is you shouldn't be intimidating by it because those numbers are lies. That's why I made this video here. I made this video totally explaining what is going on LinkedIn and those application numbers. So I'm done here, but I will see you over there.